Welcome back to Unit 3 of Life Cycles and Traits for the 3rd grade. This week we're going to be learning a little bit more about traits and how they relate to you and genetics. So first of all, what I want you to do is create a Google document that's going to be titled Traits, and then you are going to go through two different tutorials that you need to learn about what dominant traits are as well as recessive traits. These two terms are very, very important because we use dominant and recessive traits to figure out why we look the way we do. First thing that you're going to do after you create that Google document titled Traits is I want you to watch the BrainPop titled Heredity, and you'll see that to the right here. After you complete that, you're going to go and watch the TED Ed video that the link is right here if you click on it, and that's going to tell you about genotypes and how recessive and dominant traits work together. On that document that you created after you go through both of those tutorials, and make sure you're doing that after you complete the BrainPop and the video, I want you to define the following words. The first is going to be inherit, the second is trait, the third is dominant, the fourth is recessive, and the fifth is gene. The last thing that I want you to be thinking about throughout this whole assignment this week is the concept of the Punnett square. And in your TED Ed video, it's going to give you an example of that Punnett square. And as you can see right here, right in the picture actually, for your heredity and BrainPop, it'll also talk about Punnett squares. This is how we learn what our phenotype, so what we look like, comes from. So that has to do with the dominant and recessive traits. Later in the unit, you're actually going to be creating a Punnett square with one of your traits. So make sure you're paying attention to that. After you're done with your learning for this week, I want you to, for your writing connection, go back to that interview that you started to create the first week. You created some questions, and your teacher should have given you feedback on those questions to let you know if those were good questions or if they needed to be worked on. Remember, when you're writing a paper that's a narrative about your family, you're going to want to have some open-ended questions. A vast majority of you asked questions that were very straightforward, but some of you asked questions that were too open-ended, which means it allows for a lot of suggestion from the person that you're interviewing. You're going to want a fair amount of both open-ended and closed questions. This week you are going to choose two different people from different generations in your family, and what I mean by that is choose someone who is going to be maybe a grandparent or someone who is older, and then someone who might be your mom or dad. You're going to interview those two people and make sure that you write the answers down to your questions. With this one, it might not be a bad thing if you have some sort of recording device to also record the interview so that you can go back and listen to the questions and the answers that you had. Make sure that you keep some sort of manuscript, which could be done through typing, or again, it could be done through the recording itself. And an easy way to do this would be with voice-to-text also on Google. If you have an Apple product, you can use that. Otherwise, with a Google product or even your computer, you can use OK Google. Lastly, I want you to begin synthesizing and thinking about what you'll be writing in your paper to answer the questions on the previous slide. If you want to see a fun example of an interview, you can watch the YouTube video here. It's going to be by Kid President. So some of you have seen some videos, and I know that I've linked them into different presentations in the past. And it's sort of a fun way to look at how the interview took place. Have fun with it, most importantly.